afternoon, whenever you're listening to this, welcome to the internet's most sophisticated wrestling podcast, discussing the weekly aspects of it all, right here on
The Bald Monkeys Wrestling Podcast.
You know what I secretly would really love on this podcast? I would love to have Scorpio Sky come on this podcast and say that this is the worst podcast he's ever been on.
It would be an accurate statement.
That would not be an accurate statement, but it would be funny. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Bald Monkeys Wrestling Podcast. It is WWE pay-per-view weekend. We got WarGames. We got Survivor Series. We got a bunch of monkeys that are going to be on picking them picks. And who's going to come out on top? Are any of you guys feeling a little confident today? Who?
Yeah, bend the knee already. Bend the knee.
Oh, Chris is calling it. He's calling it. Christopher is saying that it's going to be him. What about you, Chuckles? You feeling confident this week?
All I know is that Big Baby James could go for the first time ever over.
I'm picking Story Boys. I'm picking. The problem is some of my picks are going to overlap with some of your picks. So if you're thinking I'm going over, then guess what? You're losing some picks. What about you? The boss is here, Stephen Hill. What do you think? You feeling confident this week?
I'm confident every week, and you guys are all going down like
usual. Woo. Woo. Big words. But I've got even something more important to start off with this week. And it's important that I am the one who starts out this topic, because coming from me, this holds a little bit more weight. And it is a message to AEW and to Britt Baker. AEW. Britt Baker is not as good as you are pushing her to be. Please, please, please give her a little bit more time and stop trying to push her to the main event.
Yeah, so we have to apologize, right? As a podcast, because we were all in on Britt Baker in the beginning, and we thought that she was really good and one of their top women's wrestlers that they had, and we were wrong. Unfortunately, the last few matches of Britt Baker have been sloppy, slow, no rhythm. She's made the other wrestler look like they were struggling. I don't know. I guess we were just flat out wrong what we first thought when we saw Britt Baker.
Yeah, and on top of that, I've got this other weird issue. And I didn't necessarily... I see it a lot in her matches, but I've seen it across AEW women's wrestling and like certain wrestlers, like even Riho has to do it a little bit, where you either have these small female wrestlers or just, I guess, not well-trained female wrestlers. And when they do their kickouts, they're the most unconvincing kickouts ever. I mean, the whole point of a kickout is that you are kicking out of somebody pinning you down to the ground. So you need to make it look kind of realistic. And they do these weird, like, I'm barely going to push my shoulder up and I'm barely going to use any effort to do so. And that makes it look so choreographed. It's awful. You know,
it's almost as if they're trying to pinpoint like the last second that before the hand hits the mat for the third, like almost pinpoint it, that like it almost seems like a little, like you said, Jimmy, like a little bit choreographed. I think that might be what like we're kind of seeing there with that kind of stuff in AEW.
Oh, but they shouldn't have to worry about that, because the refs are going to mess up the 3 count anyway.
that is true. Yeah, I mean there are some good refs in AEW, and then there are some refs that they shouldn't even like facilitate a high school wrestling match, let alone an AEW match with people in stands and being televised on TV.
Yeah, it's not great, and I've been giving the ref thing a pass a little bit, but like it keeps happening. So it's like, good gracious, people, get on your game. Like, figure this stuff out. Like, even if you have to delay that first count to make sure that you do it right and to make sure that the wrestlers see you doing it right, then let it be that. I mean, they're doing their kickouts and stuff based on counts usually, not based on, how fast or slow you're hitting the mat. So just make sure, take a little bit more, like an incy-bincy little bit more time, and just make sure you're on the same page.
In the ref's defense, the tag match one, the one that was the worst of the night, did kind of look like maybe what's his name wasn't in the right spot at the right time, because he was supposed to have his leg pulled during the 3 count and never was. And I think that was a little bit on both of them, but still, it's week after week, at least one big ref botch. And it's not needed, especially in the bigger matches, like the Pac match from the week before. And they need to calm down and just focus on things, the little things like that. And it would be so much of a smoother process for them.
Sure.
Well, so Steven brings up an interesting point. Is it so much the refs only, or are we not even factoring in that the wrestlers and the timing is off with the wrestlers? Because it seems like there's a communication breakdown. There's something just not working with the communication that goes on with a ref and a wrestler. Because the ref should know when to or when to not hold that 3 count. The ref should know when something's coming for the most part, or understand when something's coming. So if it doesn't come and you're playing to, I'm going to wave my arm really hard to come down for 3 and stop because I know what's coming, and the wrestler doesn't pull the guy out, or the wrestler's not staring at the ref like he's supposed to, it's not all the ref's fault. It just looks completely like the ref's fault when it happens.
Yeah.
This week was on the ref. The Pac match, when he deliberately said, "Oh, the guy kicked out," that is more on the ref. There's little things that you can tell it's both sides, and it might be that they're hooking in so many shows and they're trying to grow and expand so quickly that maybe they're not giving everybody enough time to go over little things like that and get their timing down. Which, I mean, it could just be growing pains, but it's just a lot.
There was one match in AEW. I don't know if it was last week or the week before where, I was 100% sure that the ref counted 3. And I even think, I forget who the wrestler was. I think it was in one of the women's matches, but I was pretty sure that she thought she won. And then the ref was like, nope, that was only 2. And I was like, wait, huh? What? And I even think the crowd was like a little confused by it as well. I wish I remembered who it was. I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember what match it was, but I do remember what you're talking about, and it seems like the crowd that time gave it a pass. Like, because the first time that happened, it was a big time. Everybody was like, people were standing up and going like that. No, that was 3. That was 3. Like, they were very, very, very confused about it.
Well, unfortunately, it seems like the crowd is getting used to it.
Oh, the crowd was so out of that tag match after that happened. Like, over it.
Yeah, hey.
Got to clean little things up. And this is what we talk about. AEW's not there yet, right? There's production quality. There's rhythm in matches that they're just missing right now. And they'll get there. And for them to get, here as quickly as they did and popular as quickly as they did, they're doing fine. But we're going to pick them apart when things like this happen.
Sure. Yeah. I think the episode of AEW as a whole was pretty good, and it was more to your point, Chris. Like, this is what I would expect a everyday episode of AEW to look like, because it wasn't too incredibly crazy, but it was still enjoyable to watch. The thing that they're doing so much better than especially main card WWE is their promos. And I know that most of that is Jericho. I mean, Jericho has just been like nonstop amazing.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad you brought up the promos because I've been paying attention the last couple of weeks, and Jericho's have been phenomenal. But Jericho's, other than that one from Cody, in the last few weeks, not a lot of promos are coming in the ring. A lot of them are video packages. Like this week, other than Jericho's with Scorpio Sky, everything else was video package promos. Like they're missing, they're extending little areas where they shouldn't be, and they're putting too much. Like sometimes the matches should be over. You don't need that extra 4 or 5 minutes. You can put a decent timed, really good promo there that they're not. They're saving it for a video package. Like they're trying to use that time to clear the ring and get everybody out. So let's watch this. I think a little more like the Kenny Omega one. He could have came out to the ring or on the ramp and made his promo this week. He didn't have to do a video package. It was funny, but some of these aren't needed to be from video packages. Let them be in the building.
I don't know though. I mean, because there's a little bit of a balance there. I mean, I if anything, I think sometimes. Well, I mean, I guess looking on the other side of it, WWE needs to do the opposite sometimes. They need to do pre-taped video packages a little bit more to make stuff more compelling instead of doing some of these promos.
Oh, I agree with that. Very, very wholeheartedly, I agree. Some of them don't need to be in WWE, don't need to have it like on live every week. Like the Firefly Funhouse, that is one of the best things about it is it's pre-recorded and it's entertaining. But with AEW, literally this week, other than Jericho's, nobody else's promos were live. And Jericho was amazing, and I don't ever take that away from him doing promos live. But out of like the 4 different promos they had, he was the only one that was live. At least split the difference and do half of your promos live. They don't all have to be recorded.
Yeah, I think that Jericho makes those promos better, but I'm not going to sit there and just say they're Jericho promos. I mean, last week it was MJ. We would write it down as an MJF Jericho promo, and MJF carried himself fine in that promo. SCU this week carried themselves fine in the promo. Now, is it because it's a little bit rehearsed? Well, yeah, I mean, probably, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I thought it went.
Not just that. It's like they're not giving a lot of people that chance to do it live until they're sure of him. MJF, you're sure he's that cocky guy who can cut a promo. SCU, all of them are veterans in the industry and have done it for years and know how to talk and know how to be in front of people. It's like they're nervous to let some of these other people do it without being pre-recorded because they don't want something to happen that they can't fix. And I understand that because a lot of them are green, but you can't have it to where you have to be in there with Jericho because he can save it to give you time to do a live promo.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that I agree with that only because, again, I pivot over to like WWE, and then that first week that Korea's really on, the roster, and they throw a mic in his face, and it was just god awful. I mean, you want to avoid that like the plague if you can. When
I understand that. I never said WWE was perfect with it because they're most certainly not. We picked that segment apart because he shouldn't have been able to talk. But it's just a little more balance out of it, I think would be good.
Sure. Well, let me pivot over real quick because that's that you had mentioned the Fiend and Firefly Funhouse and stuff like that. So, Chris, question for you. Did I?
Yeah, you're gonna fire away here. What's up?
Did I get any good backstory to make me understand the history between Bray and Daniel Bryan, or did I just get more things that make me want to have a Daniel Bryan Miz match?
It seems like you got more things that make you want to have a Daniel Bryan Miz match. You didn't get what you were asking for, which is some kind of promo leading to hey, this is why there's history between these two. Not to say that there couldn't still be a promo package put together for Sunday. There's still an opportunity there to do something on Sunday. I don't feel as strongly as you do about needing that. I think we know as wrestling fans what happened in the past, and wrestling fans are pretty loyal for the most part So I'm on the other side of the fence saying I don't need that. I know that it was there. I know that it exists. Um, I I understand what you're arguing. I just don't agree.
Well, I guess we'll just have to agree to disagree in that situation because
I agree. You're wrong.
it drives me absolutely crazy, and it's exactly what I said it was going to be. They are going to have video package for that Daniel Bryan Bray match. And you know what's going to be? It's going to be a video package where he attacks Daniel Bryan, and it just shows everything that's happened over the last couple weeks and says nothing about it and says, "Oh, I remember," and shows him going yes like a crazy person, and that's fine. That part of it's fine. But, I heard an interesting take. On this is that, there are people who believe that this is going to be like a squash, like big time squash, like a quick squash, because they're going to try to reinvent the yes movement out of a squash.
I don't understand how they're going to reinvent the yes movement out of a squash.
Because
if anything, it needs to not be a squash. Yeah, but I don't think that would make sense in this situation. I would rather see them go with a long match that, they both get highlighted in and Daniel looks good in. And at the end, he comes up short, but, the crowd still claps for him. And you can have a good moment at the end where he starts doing yes and the crowd gets behind him again. That makes more sense than a squash match. Daniel Bryan's known for wanting to go an hour and wrestle, always wanting to wrestle for as long as he can and showcase him and the other wrestler. So I would be completely against them squashing him.
Yeah, I don't see it being a squash. I see it being more of maybe an 8 to 10 minute match. It'll be one of the smaller matches of the night probably, but I think it's going to be a lot of Daniel Bryan beating the Fiend down and the Fiend just getting back up. It's going to be the typical Fiend match at this point, sadly. And then Bryan's going to hit his moves and then go for the submissions and everything, and Bray's just going to shrug it all off and then hit him with one Sister Abigail, and it's going to be over with the Mandible Claw.
Yeah, See, this is why he doesn't need the title. This is why he needs to have less matches because all of this, he's going to have the same moveset. And if you have him have the title and he fights all the time and we see this moveset all the time, I'm going to grow sour on the Fiend. I'm going to grow to hate him. But it's okay. You know why? Because all we got to do is get to WrestleMania where Roman Reigns beats him.
Yeah, the more and more I'm reading and seeing online, that apparently that's the long-term plan is Roman versus the Fiend. But Roman's not winning the Rumble. Apparently whoever wins the Rumble is going to go after the other belt. Brock, I guess, is still that shit.
Brock still exists. I don't even know. I feel like
he exists.
Through all this, back and forth with Raw and SmackDown, it's the Fiend has had some spots and promos, but Brock is nowhere to be found other than a couple of promos that they've done and highlights that they've done.
Oh yeah, I forgot. He's going to get squashed by Ray tomorrow.
God, that would be just weird.
Well, it's no holds barred, right? So
no holds barred, no disqualification, anything goes.
Yeah, so you could have people,
forklift. Pin him with a forklift.
No, I'm just saying you could literally have Dominic come in and interfere in that match
with the Titanic,
and just with the Titanic and a forklift, and just batter Brock Lesnar, who then very quickly, while Dominic is in the forklift, does an F5 to the forklift, slams it down, and just ends up winning the match anyway.
That would be amazing.
I think before the match, they should let Brock and Heyman come out there and do an anti-Mexican kind of promo, but do it tastefully, I guess, because you don't want to step on fingers and toes and be racist, and then have this be the beginning of the Latino World Order. Let Ray lead the newer Latinos, like him and Andrade, and some of them have a faction where they're running over everybody. I know Jimmy loves a good faction. The Latino World Order is something they teased for years, but they wanted somebody strong to lead it. Well, you have Ray back. Let him be the leader of it, and just let them build some of these new Latino wrestlers up and just run over people. It'd be amazing.
You know
we
what?
we don't want to build walls here, Steven.
No walls. We want to build up them. That's an interesting idea. Like think about Lucha House Party, Humberto Carrillo, Andrade, like
The
that.
Power Ranger.
They could build up quite the faction.
They don't have to cut a promo though. But this is pretty taboo stuff, right? Brock needs to rip his mask off and rip it in half in the match. And I know it's so weird to allow that. He did it in WCW and he hated it. He hated that being a thing, but towards the end of his career here, his last little go, I think that's a compelling storyline. Brock in the match beats him down pretty good, pulls the mask off of him, rips it in half, and then every luchador from the back comes out and beats the hell out of Brock Lesnar. I love that idea.
I get it. Doing disrespectful to the mask is like a big no-no sign of, yeah, I get it.
Oh man, I want that to happen so bad.
I'd still love the swerve that Dominic all of a sudden beats up Ray. Like I would just love to see Dominic out there in Ray's corner and Ray come up short and Dominic just go haywire on him. And that's the kind of handoff.
You got to figure something's going to happen because if you put the two in a match and you put them next to each other, Ray is coming up short in every single category. Ray is the underdog, but he's. This doesn't make sense for him to be in this match for the belt and be a legitimate threat unless something's going to happen.
It's that unbelievable status that Chuck likes to bring up all the time. It's just not believable.
That's why that angle we were just talking about works. Because that is believable.
The Riho effect, what I like to call it.
The Riho. Well, you know what? But Riho, I don't believe her against certain wrestlers, right? I don't know that I believe her against the person she won the belt from initially, like Nyla Rose. I don't know if Definitely I believe her against that. I believe her against a Britt Baker, even though Britt Baker is much bigger than her, just because she's a good wrestler and Britt Baker isn't.
I would say most of the people that she's wrestled since she won the belt has been more believable. She hasn't gone up against like, a gigantic, woman in the ring like Rose when she won the belt. I mean, and for Ray, Ray's done it his entire career for the most part, has always gone against bigger guys. So like, even though I said it's the Riho effect, for whatever reason with, Mysterio, you believe it a little bit more. I believe it a little bit more. And maybe that's just because I've been conditioned because I've been watching him for 20, 25 years or something, so it could be that, but against Brock, it is the little on the unbelievable side, and it'll be interesting to see what route they take with this. I didn't think that this match was going to happen this quick, maybe like a month and a half ago, but hey, thanks WWE.
Are we overlooking the fact that this could be another spot for Cain Velasquez to come in? Like, is it just going to be that boring and simple where it's going to be, no holds barred and everything, and at some point Cain Velasquez is just going to come out and help Ray win the title?
Well, how long is Cain supposed to be out for? And with the surgery that he was having, how long was that keeping him out for? That would be the question.
But what does he really have to do to quote unquote be involved? It's a no holds barred match. He can come out there with a bat or a pipe and just beat the crap out of Brock, and that's how he is involved. That's how he helps Ray win. It doesn't need to be like him doing backflips or anything or jumping off the top rope. He just needs to come in and help Ray win. And it's boring and it's obvious, and that's probably what we're gonna see.
Well, I have dedicated this episode to me going for what's best for story and Steven has inserted the best story into the mix. So I'm just going to roll with that.
Thank you. I agree.
I wasn't sure how I was going to pick that match, by the way, later on in this podcast, and Steven has made up my mind. I flippin' love it, and I'm going to roll with my version of it. It's going to be great. I'm going to get really specific. All right. So, anything else that was just dreck this week? I mean, I know we love talking about the bad stuff. We did have Lashley face No Way Jose.
That wasn't a match.
Already.
There's no reason to remember it. The Lashley stuff needs to just stop. That another terrible promo, another botched promo by the worst person on the mic. And I didn't think I was ever going to say this, but Lana is the worst person in wrestling on a microphone.
No,
she cannot phrase anything together. She is worse than Humberto Carrillo.
No.
Yes.
That is inaccurate.
Yes, because you know why? At least Humberto just doesn't say anything. Whatever she says is just bad.
No.
Hey, don't throw Dimples underneath the truck on that one, Tiro.
He's bad. Dimples is bad. And to call Lana the worst person in wrestling on the mic, I've seen some pretty rough ones. So, she's not good. She's nowhere close to good, but she's definitely not the worst.
Name somebody who's worse. Name somebody right now who's worse on the microphone.
I don't know. Jessica Havoc in Impact?
Okay. So you're naming people that don't even belong behind a microphone because they're on Impact right now. So there's they should just be wrestling.
You
they shouldn't
said
even get
the worst promos in wrestling. You said wrestling.
Lana.
No,
Lana.
It's just not true. You're full of crap.
Don't pull out your random Impact people.
What?
Lana.
You said wrestling. You said WWE.
Yes,
you want to say WWE?
No, I'm going to say wrestling because she's the worst. And it's boring and it's repetitive. She can't figure out what miles or feet or days are. She doesn't know the equation that matches up which one of those measurements is which. She doesn't know measurements. One's feet, one is miles, one is days. They're different.
Chris, relax. She was originally Russian and now she's American again, even though she started out as American. So she's very confused. Metric system and all that stuff. I mean, give her a break. Come on.
And every once in a while, she becomes Russian again when she says the word Rusev.
She's just programmed.
She's terrible.
To say that. I'm not saying
terrible. The story is terrible. It continues to be terrible.
I don't disagree with you. I just disagree with the blanket statement. She does the worst promos in all of wrestling. No, that's not accurate. Is it bad? Yes, it's very bad.
I'm going to go watch promos for a week and see if there's ones that are worse, but I'm standing behind my statement that she is terrible.
Watch NWA Power. Any of those some of those promos from the women or the mid-carders, they're not that great either.
Yeah, some of them get you fired too.
I was about to say poor Jim Cornette, but not really. You're an idiot. You said something stupid. Oh well, deal with the consequences.
You found the line.
Yeah. Oh.
So, but we're talking about bad stuff for the week. How about NXT in general just winning the week?
Yeah.
NXT has won the week. They came out on every show and basically just killed it with invasions, killed it with promos, killed it with matches. It's been weeks of NXT proving why NXT is the best show right now.
Well,
and then they put it in ratings this week too for the first time, beating AEW.
To be fair, the thing that we were trying to be very critical with AEW about, NXT did the opposite this week, right? So we talked about, AEW, they can't keep going at this pace or whatever. And you're not going to have episodes like NXT. Like the thing that we kind of talked about last night, because, Captain Chuckles he's down in South Carolina right now. So we were talking wrestling last night, was what do they do after Survivor Series? Because this has been easy ratings. This has been easy to make a good episode by doing these different invasion angles, and this episode of NXT was off the rails crazy, but it was good off the rails crazy, but it had to do with this invasion angle. So once you've gotten that invasion angle, now I don't worry about NXT. They've got lots of good storylines that they've got going, but just as a whole, the company, like, what are they going to do after this?
They need to go away from it. They need to leave it alone for a while and revisit it eventually, but not right away. I think everyone goes back to their shows, everyone goes back to their storylines, and you stand alone as independent shows, and you revisit this down the line someplace else, because there's other areas you can revisit this without just shoving it down our throat every single week. Because eventually, if you do that, we go back to the wild card rule. We go back to the fact that we're just going to get frustrated because people are just going to show up like the Wild West everywhere. And there's going to be some rule of why they're showing up. So it's the old absence makes the heart fonder, right? We've talked about this in the past on the podcast. It's good right now, but it's run its course after Survivor Series, and everyone needs to get back to their storylines. And then down the line, it'll come back up and it'll be great again because we'll be surprised.
I agree with you a little bit. I don't know. When we start picking, I've got a little bit. I've got a theme, right? So whereas they don't need to, like, do they need to drop the invasion angle? Yes, but I think NXT needs to be, and this is how I'm going to do all of my picks. I think NXT is integral to just changing the culture of wrestling and WWE, and that needs to be a storyline.
Okay.
So we'll get there. So I don't know. I mean, I think overall there was nothing that was too bad. This week, definitely on Raw. I thought Raw was fine. I think
it was a good week of wrestling. I think all around. I think all shows came with decent shows, decent storylines, interesting surprises. I think every single show this week was entertaining, and I haven't been able to go back and watch SmackDown yet. But from what I've seen of some of the highlights, there was some really good stuff on SmackDown last night.
There was,
and I want to go back and watch that Ripley Charlotte Sasha match because I saw the ending to it and it looked amazing. One of the best endings I've seen in a long time.
It's a fun
where Ripley snuck in under the figure eight and pinned Charlotte, and Sasha sold, the pain that came from that as well. It just looked great, and I look forward to going back and actually watch.
Yeah,
the end of the show after the 6-man tag was, I mean, I had just gotten back to the hotel room at that point, and I threw it on and I'm watching it. And then when they cut to that scene of reminiscent DX coming in on that Jeep that they had with, like, I mean, they must have had 30 NXT guys with them, like, running in. It was amazing.
It went all out, man, right before everything goes down. And so now I hope everybody has been thinking about who this fourth man is for the WarGames match, because we're going to do a pick based on that, and it's worth a point, obviously, if you get it right.
Yeah.
So
if you get it right.
Which, Chris is determined that I'm not going to get it right. He told me who he's picking, and I'm not picking that person.
The knee.
Oh my gosh. Get out of here. Oh.
So we got a lot of people to pick, and we got some picks to make, and I'm sure we could have some time to talk through some of this stuff too. So do we want to get into the pick?
Yeah. I see that. Looks like Nickamura is here. Is he ready to go with some of these picks, Nickamura?
I was born ready, Jimmy. Let's do this.
All right. Okay. So we're gonna say
Wait,
this.
hold on. For our listeners, right now, Nickamura is flying his private jet over the United States right now. So just bear with the turbulence and stuff.
The iPhone speaker is a fine form of communication, but I apologize for the.
You're a Tiro is what we expect.
Oh man. Okay, so last time we had Chris picking first, correct?
Yeah,
And
I was first last
and
time.
I believe I picked last. Is that correct? Or did Chuck?
Well,
pick last?
who won last? Who won last time?
I won.
Did you win, Jimmy?
I won last.
So I believe you would go first, then, Jimmy. You have the honor of
no,
picking first.
I'm actually, instead of that was just the way I did the last time. I think this time we can just rotate it through. So because you picked first, you go to the end of the line. I'll go one down, so we can allow Nick, Steven, or Chuck.
I picked second last time, so I'll go first. I don't
Okay,
care.
so Steven goes first. If you don't mind, Chuck, I'll let Nick go second, since he's not on a bunch.
No worries at all.
You go third, and what I enjoy the most is I just go before Chris, so I can steal all his thunder.
You're an ass.
Yeah. Does anybody have the picks ready,
Whatever.
or do I need to pull them? Do I need to pull them? Do you have them written down, Chuckles?
I do.
Perfect. All right. Well, I'll let you run the ship then.
Wait, hold on. Time. What's the order again? Because I was like not paying.
Okay, so the order is going to be Steven, Nick, then you, then me, then Chris.
Okay, so we're gonna start off with War Games. There's been a little bit of I get all the matches off of Wikipedia. They seem to be the most up to date all the time. So they say the pre-show for War Games is going to have Isaiah Swerve Scott versus Angel Garza. Steven.
Oh my God, that match sounds great.
Oh, I don't know. Garza, I guess. I wasn't ready for that match. I forgot about
Yeah, I know. Well, there's another. There'll be another left turn that might or might not happen that we'll bring up when we get to Survivor Series. Okay, Steven's got guards. Nick.
I'm gonna go with Isaiah Swerve Scott, and I love the fact that we use Wikipedia as our top resource to get the cards for these papers. So,
hey, listen.
I think Michael Scott would be proud.
If you look at WWE, they have like literally like 3 matches on their article about Survivor Series. But anyway, okay, so I am going with Garza on this one off of his strong performance earlier in the week and what I think might be happening on Sunday. So Garza. Jimmy.
So wait a second. So if you're not gonna tell the audience that I'm assuming there is going to be a cruiserweight championship match on the pre-show of Survivor Series.
Yes, that's what it looks like at Survivor Series, that Lio Rush against Garza for the Cruiserweight Championship is what I saw on, and that wasn't on, Nick, that wasn't on Wikipedia. That was, I think, from either Bleacher Report or CBS or something.
Well, based on that alone, I would also choose Garza, and again, I'm committed to picking story here. It makes for the better story because you're building Garza to have a match, basically a rematch with Lio Rush. So yes, Garza. Anybody who picks Swerve, by the way, that's Nick. Now that you know, you can change your pick, or you can hold with it.
Yes, I do.
Yes, you do want to change your pick?
Nope, I'm sticking with it.
All right.
Okay.
I'm proud of you.
Mr. Tiro.
He's gonna stand alone because I'm picking Garza. Yeah, we'll go with Garza. It makes sense. Now, what Jimmy doesn't realize is me picking behind him, I could just sit here and just strategically pick what I think I can win and still beat him this week. So that'll be fun.
Oh my. Okay. Next we have Team Ripley versus Team Baszler. Steven.
Team Ripley all day. Blazer needs to go down. And yes, I said Blazer.
Blazer, laser, taser. Nick, who you got?
I'm gonna pick Team Ripley. I think Tony Storm's really pretty, and that's gonna be my tiebreaker.
Okay, good call. Good call. I am going to go with the trifecta so far, and also picking Team Ripley.
Can you give me a rundown real quick? Who's on each team again? Just to be clear.
Oh, geez. They haven't named the other four for Ripley, but hold on, let me pull it up.
Ripley, Candice.
Oh yeah, they have.
Ray.
It's the other match.
Yeah, Tegan Knox.
Yeah, Tegan Knox and Mia Yim. And then
Tony Storm's on the Survivor Series NXT.
Yeah, Nick. And then Baszler is Shayna Baszler, Io Shirai, Bianca Belair, and Kaylee Ray. Yeah, the one that they don't have everybody left is everybody named as the Survivor Series match. Sorry about that.
All right. I feel like this one's tough. I would say for story purposes, I like the idea of the determining factor being that the heel team or the Baszler team kind of breaks apart at the seams because the grouping doesn't seem very cohesive, and that's done on purpose because it's NXT and they actually care about their stories. Everybody take a shot. So I believe that, yes, Team Ripley will win because of that.
So this is the point where I take the lead. We're gonna go with Shayna Baszler and her team to win over Rhea Ripley and her team. I think it's better for story. Blazer thing is the winner. I just used all of your little catchphrases in that one sentence, and I think Baszler and her team is going to win because it's better going forward to have Baszler continue to look strong with who she's probably going to end up facing going forward, which is probably going to be Rhea Ripley.
Okay, I think Team Ripley wins, kind of like she snuck in and won on SmackDown, because some of the main roster women come out on the stage, being Bayley and maybe Sasha, Charlotte, and Becky. Maybe the four of them come out, distract Blazer, and then she gets rolled up for the final elimination.
Okay. That could happen. You never know.
Steven came in and picked like twice there. That's not fair.
I know. That's okay. That's what there are no rules in our picking, really, because since I'm the one that writes down all the picks, I get to choose who actually wins. So it doesn't matter what you guys do. That's according to Jimmy. Okay, next one up is the Undisputed Era: Cole, Fish, O'Reilly, and Strong versus Team Ciampa.
Goodness gracious!
Ciampa
I run downstairs for a second. I run downstairs for a second, and all I'm hearing is like people hating on Big Baby Jimmy.
We said one thing about you. Get over yourself.
Well, I'm the most important person on the podcast, so.
No, you're the largest person on the.
I don't know. I think I might have him on that one. He might be a little bit taller.
How are we doing this? Are we picking the mystery partner first, or are we picking the match first?
Let's pick the match first, and then we'll pick the mystery partner. So just to go over that again, it's Undisputed Era versus Ciampa, Lee, Dijakovic, and the TBA. So, Steven, give me your match winner, and then give me your who's the TBA.
I strongly believe it's Team Ciampa. And I think the mystery partner is going to be Velveteen Dream.
Man, a lot of people on the Dream Train already.
Yeah. Nickamura.
Well, first and my last pick, considering the reason I picked the person was for someone who's not in the match. So it was taking me back to my school days and I didn't do the assignment and I just made up an answer. But for this one, I'm going to go Adam Cole's team because I'll never pick against Adam Cole. And the mystery partner, I'm just going to pick CM Punk because why not? It's in Chicago.
Ooh.
Interesting. Okay. I am going to go with. Man, this one is tough. I'm going to go with Undisputed Era as the match winner. And I am also in agreement with Steven on the Dream coming back because I think this foursome minus Dijakovic was something that I had said in one of the podcasts like a month and a half ago or so. So that's what I'm going with. Jimmy.
I think that what is best for story is for Undisputed Era to remain dripping in gold always. So I don't think that they should be losing. The mystery partner, I'm going to go ahead and say, is Kevin Owens. I think Kevin Owens makes the most sense because they ran a storyline where you had Seth Rollins and Andrade having a match over who was going to be the leader of the Raw team. And they had a really good match, and they kind of ended it with a, kind of equal respect type of a deal thing going on. And then you had a spot later where Kevin Owens is trying to get lured over to NXT. I do believe that it would be an interesting because he gets attacked, right? And he gets attacked by Undisputed Era, I believe, in that match. And because he got attacked by Undisputed Era, I think it makes sense for him to go down to NXT and fight Undisputed Era, who attacked him in the ring. So there you go. Undisputed Era is going to win War Games, but KO is going to be the TBD.
Okay. Tiro.
That's a well thought out answer, Jimmy. Very, very good.
I know.
I mean, you're wrong.
I know.
You're wrong. Yeah, you're wrong. But it was good. It was well thought out. It's all the sense of the world that it's Velveteen Dream. They built this storyline up months ago. I feel like when they jumped him when he was supposed to fight Roderick Strong, and then we ended up getting that amazing triple threat match with Keith Lee and Dijakovic. So makes all the sense of the world for it to be Velveteen Dream. And I think what your point was, Jimmy, that they need to stay dripping in gold. This is the one time that you can have the Undisputed Era lose a match, keep their belts, and build what you love to call a story going forward with everybody else in this match and all those belts. So I think it makes sense to let Ciampa's team win and then move forward into storylines while keeping the belts on Undisputed Era, keeping them looking strong because it is a War Games match. It's hard for me to pick that because I would love to say that they are just going to continue to win at War Games, but I think it makes sense going forward to have them lose this match and then have these championship matches going forward with pairings of these people, Ciampa, obviously, Velveteen, etc.
Well, it's interesting. The reason that NXT is so developed that I don't think it matters who wins. I mean, the story's going to be there no matter what. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, either way, I think you end up with something good coming out of this because there's amazing development in this entire match. The War Game match itself, the men's match and the women's match, you don't even need to have other matches on the card, and you could build so much out of this pay-per-view with two matches. So yeah, I agree with that. They've developed very well.
Damn, I hate going before Tiro because I don't get to hear his insights, and I can't get to hear him like sway me one way or the other. Man, I'm gonna stick with Undisputed Era though, but you almost had me there. And Nickamura's plane just went down, so he might not be here for the next pick or two, but we can always circle back to him on his iPhone. Okay, next one is Matt Riddle versus Finn Balor. Steven.
I honestly think Riddle's going to pull it off. I think it'll be a good back and forth. I think it'll set up for another match where we might get the Demon versus Riddle maybe down the line, but I think Riddle wins.
Okay, Nick, we'll come back to you once you get back on. I am going to go with Balor on this one. I think since we haven't seen him really get in the ring yet so far, I think it's going to be a great match, but I'm going with Balor on this one. Jimmy?
It's a tough match. I think it works either way, kind of like the last match. And because I don't fully believe that full transformation of Finn Balor yet. I mean, I do, but I would like it to go even further into the depths. I'd say that the best thing is for Riddle to win, personally.
So I think, again, like Jimmy said, tough match to pick, but I think it makes sense to go ahead and have Balor win this match by a little bit underhandedly figuring something out, going to that Prince, going to that Balor club. I think that makes the most sense in this match, and I think Balor is going to win.
Nickamura, are you back? Okay, well, until we hear back from Nick, we'll go on to what is the last match of the night. This is for the number one contendership for the match at Survivor Series the next night against Adam Cole. So we have Dunn versus Dane versus Priest. Steven.
Pete Dunne is the only person who makes sense to me winning this match.
Okay. Nick, are you with? Nick is still not with us. So for this one, this is a tough one. I don't see Priest winning just because I think it's too early in his storyline, I guess I would say. I like Pete Dunne. I love Killian Dane because we're other than the hairstyle, we are brothers. We're simpatico in our facial hairstyle. So I'm gonna go with my man Killian Dane.
I find that this feels like an unnatural match to me. Like they're doing it to create, another quote unquote intriguing, unnecessary match on Survivor Series. So I'm going to pick Dunn, and I agree with Steven that Dunn is probably the only pick that really makes sense. But I would just like to display my displeasure in this whole thing, because what I don't like is I think that Adam Cole and Pete Dunne could have a very, very good program with each other. But I also believe that what's best for story is that after all is said and done, that Adam Cole starts his program with Ciampa. And so I don't like this very good, almost dream type of a match to be just inserted into Survivor Series, but it is what it is. So I'm going to pick Pete Dunne because that's what's best for story, but short-term story, and in the long run, not good for story at all.
Okay. So everybody's made valid points, but what I think we're overlooking here is the fact that there is already a program with Killian Dane and Pete Dunne going back and forth that makes sense. That they are continually like kind of interfering or jumping or beating each other up in different situations. So I think they eliminate each other from this match essentially. And I'm going to pick the wild card here and say Damian Priest is actually going to win this match and go on because of, again, valid points of Pete Dunne and Adam Cole would make a better program later on. And I would even say that Killian Dane is probably the weakest program with Adam Cole, but I would still like to see that develop more. So throw Priest in there just to give him a bone and have a good match. I'm sure Cole and Priest will have a good match because Cole could have a good match with a shoe in a ring with no one in the shoe. So I think they eliminate each other and Priest steals this match and goes on to wrestle at Survivor.
I think that's an excellent point.
Yeah, definitely. Nick, are you back with us? Nick is still having some phone issues. You know those iPhones, they're not reliable. I'm sorry. Anyway, okay. So if we get Nick back on the line here, we'll get him to pick his last two here. If not, we'll get him through text. So now we're going to move on to Sunday's show, Survivor Series. So we'll start off with what I saw on one of the sites, that pre-show match, Lio Rush versus Garza for the Cruiserweight Championship. Steven.
I see no reason for Rush to lose the belt yet. I think Lio.
This is one of those times, and I'm, I don't know. I'm sorry, I tried to jump you in line. Go ahead, Captain Chuckles. I got a lot to say about this match. Go ahead, pick the match so I can start talking.
That's okay. I was like, man, you feel really passionate about this match right now.
Yeah.
I am going to go with Lio Rush on this one. I think he's going to retain the title. I think it's going to build off of what happened on what was it? Wednesday or last Wednesday or whenever it was, their match. So yeah, I'm going with Rush on this one. So James, now you can go.
So I know that Chris is going to agree with me, but I mean, the problem is Survivor Series, so I get it, but having this match on a pre-show is criminal because this match is going to can be a barn burner if they want it to be. The problem is when you put it on a pre-show, sometimes it forces them to cut the match a little bit, and they can't do as much as they could do. But these guys had such a good match on NXT that they're trying to replicate that on a big stage. And the problem is that the production of main card WWE, it might hinder it. Now, that being said, again, picking what I think is best for story, and me personally, I think that's what's best for story is to allow Garza to take it off of him and to continue this, Lio Rush Garza kind of rivalry. Because if Lio Rush wins, then what is the purpose of Garza getting a chance after that? There is none. So I think that this is a good program, and then they can keep it going for a little while longer, but that requires Garza to take the belt off of Rush.
It is criminal that this match is on the pre-show. Yes. Criminal, because it's got the potential to be the second best match of the night. And we'll get to the best match of the night later on, but this match is going to be great for the short period of time that they allow them to wrestle. Again, this reminds me of WWE's Buddy Murphy, Cedric Alexander back and forth that we saw months ago. That was amazing. That kept showing up on the pre-shows. That were just amazing matches that, again, were criminal for being on the pre-show. Lio Rush is at the forefront of NXT right now. He was on the front of that Jeep, and I think they're pushing him hard right now. He's been reborn essentially from the old Lio Rush that was the hype man for Lashley. I think it makes all the sense in the world to keep the belt on Lio. I think you can continue this back and forth with Garza without Garza taking the belt from him. I don't think it needs to make sense why Garza gets another shot other than it's a great match and he respects that and he will continue to give Garza shots until a point eventually where Garza takes it from him. But I think Lio Rush wins this match.
Okay. I also agree that this match is being on the pre-show. It seems like they always do this to the 205 and cruiserweight guys where they're like, well, yeah, you guys are pretty good, but you know, you're not good enough to be on the main pay-per-view. So which is not true because we've had many matches where the cruiserweight 205 live guys have been put on a way better match in a limited time constraint over the last bunch of pay-per-views. Okay, so let's hit up. We'll go with the no disqualification, no holds barred for the WWE Championship match. Brock Lesnar versus Rey Mysterio.
I've already predicted this earlier. The Latino World Order comes and takes over. Rey gets the belt, and Brock gets beaten to a pulp by every Latino on the roster.
Okay. We have Nickamura back with us. The plane is back up in the air. Nick, we're going to ask you for a couple of picks here. First, Matt Riddle versus Finn Balor.
Finn Balor. It's rapid fire. Let's do this. Well, I got service. This is Sprint's fault, by the way, not iPhone.
Dunn versus Dane versus Priest for the number one contender.
I'm going to go Priest because Priest work on Sunday, and they'll have a good match with Cole.
Wow. Okay, Lio Rush versus Garza for the cruiserweight.
I'm going to go Leo. I hope they don't get the title off him on the pre-show. He's having a pretty good run right now, so I think if they're going to take the strap off him, he would deserve a little bit bigger of a moment.
Okay, and the current pick, Lesnar versus Mysterio, and no holds barred, no disqualification.
There's just, I think, Cain Velasquez probably shows up, but they're really going to build that, so I think Lesnar holds on to the title at least into early 2020.
Okay.
Is this for the title?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
What a mistake.
What do you have a gripe, Jimmy?
No, I mean, yeah, you'll hear the gripe. It's just go ahead and make your pick.
Okay. Man, I love Steven's Latino World Order storyline. I love the thought of Brock ripping the mask in half and everything.
It's just not going to happen.
I know. Because the only reason why I think it's not going to happen is because it is so good, and WWE don't do good. So I'm going to have to go with Lesnar retaining.
Well, again, I said I was going to pick story, and I thought Steven's story was amazing. I'm even going to go I really hope that one thought that I had that you just mentioned, that mask, the unmask. I mean, that's the easiest way of doing it. The easiest way of creating, instantly just creating this new Latino order thing is by having him pull that mask off and rip it in half, and he's just beating the hell out of Rey Mysterio, and then every luchador, everybody who cares about that anybody who cares about that stuff is down at the ring, taking up for him. I mean, even Andrade can be down there because, even though he's no longer a luchador, he was at one point, and he understands how important it is. Even though maybe he's disrespected it sometimes, but I don't know. I mean, for the power of that storyline, I don't think that it matters. And I think that storyline sounds fantastic, and a storyline where you have Dominic turn on his father is not disinteresting, but I think the other side of it's way more interesting, and taking the title off of Brock is very, very interesting. So let's just roll with that. The problem with the Dominic thing is it feels too much like, Raven, Sandman, I'm in control of your child stuff, which was never a big fan of that storyline. So,
dude, I haven't even picked yet, and you're like crapping all over my idea. like somehow you like go into like something I've mentioned earlier, and you're like, oh, I don't know about that, and I haven't even gotten to my chance yet to make a pick.
Well, that's why I picked before you, and that's why it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun for you. That being said, I love all your guys' ideas, and I hate the fact that I can't pick them. I just can't. I can't pick any of them to actually happen. I unfortunately think this is just going to be Lesnar winning the match. I love Dominic turning on him. I love the Latino World Order. I love everything we've talked about, but this is Brock Lesnar. And Brock Lesnar is going to win this match. And I don't even know what's going to happen during it. I could probably make predictions about Brock beating down Ray and Kane coming out to his defense to build up another Kane versus Brock match or something. But at this point, it just seems like Brock's going to win this match with Ray having a little glimmer of hope somewhere in it. So I'm going to pick Lesnar, and I'm mad about it, but that's what I'm picking.
By the way, mask might come off no matter what. Just throwing that out there.
True. By the way, sitting across the table from Mr. Tiro during this podcast, I can sense the anger in him over picking Brock Lesnar in that match.
He loves Brock Lesnar. What are you talking about?
He loves.
I'm getting him a Brock Lesnar T-shirt for Christmas.
Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
And Baron Corbin.
Bend the knee.
Ben punching in the face. Okay. We're gonna go to the other championship match. Universal Championship. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt versus Daniel Bryan. Steven.
It's going to be a very heavy Daniel Bryan match where the Fiend pulls it out in the end. Under the red.
Stupid red light. Nickamura.
They've been building the Fiend for a pretty long time, so it'd be kind of dumb to have him lose the belt this quickly. So I'm going to go with the Fiend.
I am also going to pick the Fiend.
I mean, there's no stipulation in this match. Just a match. So the question,
just regular old match.
The question really becomes, do you want it to be a Daniel Bryan program, or do you want it to be a one-off match? Because if it's a one-off match, then you would have the Fiend just beat him badly. But if you want it to be a program, then maybe you have Daniel Bryan go a little bit crazy, get DQ'd out of the match against the Fiend, even though the Fiend is really just no-sells everything, and continue the storyline. I think what is best for story is to get Daniel Bryan out of this Fiend match so that he can start a program with The Miz. So I'm going to say the Fiend just wins. Yeah, that's probably the best thing for everybody.
The Fiend wins.
First, everybody
Boom.
in agreement pick, right?
Yes, it is. Okay, we'll go to the last championship title match. The champion, Adam Cole, versus your pick from WarGames. So, Steven, Cole versus Dunn.
I think Cole pulls it off with a little interference from Undisputed. I think it's a very competitive back and forth match.
Okay. Nickamura, Cole versus Damian Priest.
Adam Cole.
Myself, Cole versus Killian Dane. I am going with Adam Cole to retain.
I will go with Adam Cole over my pick, which was Pete Dunne, in what would possibly, if that is the match, could be one of the best matches of the night.
Priest work on Sundays, but Adam Cole wins every day. Adam Cole.
Very
Love
nice,
it.
brother.
I love it.
Did you just turn into Hogan there? Nice job, brother.
Well, I was speaking to the fact that we're related, but yes, that could also be portrayed that way.
Oh, Nickamura.
Oh man. Okay, we will now go to Becky Lynch versus Bailey versus Shayna Baszler.
Blue Blazer.
Honestly,
Steven.
at this point, with how everything's happened, I think Bailey wins, and then there's some kind of big altercation at the end, and Ronda Rousey comes out and cleans house.
Nick.
I think Becky makes the most sense. This match could kind of go any way, but I think Becky wins here just because they've been pushing her so hard. This feels like a match she can win. But I like Steven's idea. I think that'd be pretty cool if Ronda came back.
Man, and I don't even know. I mean, with this match and then the mid card title match, I mean, it's just like more so. I just hope it's a good, entertaining match. I really, honestly, couldn't care who wins, but I am going to go with Shayna Baszler taking out the two main show champions to take this match here.
It's a triple threat match. And the beauty of a triple threat match is that you can't get disqualified. So to build off of Steven's point, I think that it goes down that they're having a nice competitive triple threat match, and then Sasha interferes to get Bailey the win. And in response to that, Flair comes down in defense of Becky Lynch. And then to respond to that, Ronda Rousey comes down and with Shayna Baszler cleans house.
Wow, these are all very exciting storylines that we're coming up with.
Picking story. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Well, I'm I'm just gonna go with Shayna Baszler because I feel like I've been on this road with Shayna for a long time. I didn't think she was great at the beginning, and now I think she's turned into one of the best women's wrestlers they have on the rosters. And I think NXT has looked strong throughout this, and I think Baszler deserves this win over Becky and Bailey. I actually think that Becky makes the least amount of sense because I feel like she doesn't need this win as much as the other two. While I agree she keeps getting wins and they keep pushing her, I feel like it would make more sense to give it to somebody like Baszler who could really get something from this push, pinning the two main card champions. So I'm going to go.
Yeah, my one thought, and I remember telling you this earlier in the week, whatever you do, WWE, just don't let Becky win this match. This is really, I don't care what happens in all of Survivor Series except for please don't let Becky win this match. It is so important for her to lose sometimes. Don't let her win this match.
Yeah, Becky's winning the match now. Thanks, Jimmy.
Well,
Jimmy basically
I'm going
just
over.
jinxed all of it.
I'm going picking story. I'm going over, man.
You have completely jinxed it. Okay. We'll go into the next triple threat match for the mid-card titles. We got AJ Styles, the U.S. champion, Shinsuke Nakamura, the Intercontinental champion with his new shiny belt, and Roddy Strong, the North American champion. Steven.
I want to see Roderick Strong win. I think it makes sense. Be a wonderful match. It's going to be a very hard-hitting match, but I think he pulls it out.
Nick?
I'm going to go Nickamura for a couple reasons. I think they're gonna try and give like Raw, SmackDown, NXT each like I don't know exactly how many total matches there are with the three of them, but I think they're gonna want to make that last match worth something whenever it's the Survivor Series, Team Raw versus Team SmackDown versus NXT men. So I think they're gonna want to keep the score close, and giving a point to SmackDown here makes sense. And Nakamura low blows AJ, taking us back to WrestleMania a couple years ago, and gets the win.
Nice. Again, this is another match where I'm like, I don't really care who wins. I mean, it's again, it's going to be another great match. And I know I said it before. I just hope they put on a good match. I am yet again in agreement with Steven on this one. I'm going Roddy Strong again.
So with the exception of the women's match, my theme is NXT. So I'm ruining all my picks moving forward. The only reason I don't think you need it for the women's match is because of, the thought of Ronda Rousey coming down and then setting up something much bigger. I think that's better for story. But for all of WWE, apart from that one storyline, my thought on what is 100% best for storyline is for NXT to dominate. And what is probably this match, this one you could probably bet your bottom dollar is going to be the best match of the night. Because there's just so many great dynamics going on. Roderick Strong's amazing. AJ Styles is amazing. Shinsuke can be amazing when he needs to be. And against AJ, there's good story there. And, I do think this will be the best match of the night. And I think that Roderick Strong is going to win.
This is the best match of the night. I think, we could all agree that this is going to be something to watch. Shinsuke's shiny belt is pretty cool. I commend WWE for doing something different. I don't like that they did it to the Intercontinental title because it's one of my favorite titles of all time, and that bothers me, but whatever. We'll move on from that. Maybe that'll be a topic for next week. I don't understand why we have a new belt right now, but again, fine. I don't think Roddy gets enough push in any of his storylines. He's finally got a belt when he got the North American title, but I still don't feel like he gets the push he really deserves. He's an amazing wrestler. He's put on some amazing matches with a bunch of different guys. In the end, Nick brought up something that I don't think I was thinking of before we started these picks. The idea that the split between Raw, SmackDown, and NXT throughout these matches, the tally as we go on in the night, is going to mean something when you get to the end. And with that, I think we need SmackDown to win one at some point, but not this one. I think AJ Styles actually is going to pull this one out because I think the OC needs the push more than anybody in this match. And I think AJ Styles and the OC have looked strong and continue to look strong. And I think that's going to build for better angles in the future. So AJ.
Nice. Again, I hate going before Tiro. The last triple threat match of the night is all the tag teams. We have my boys, the Viking Raiders, versus the New Day versus the Undisputed Era. Steven.
I hate to say it, but I think the New Day wins.
Okay. Nick.
Undisputed Era. Fish and O'Reilly are fantastic, and this will be a really cool match for people who don't watch NXT too much to kind of showcase probably what has been the best tag team in WWE the last year and a half.
This will be probably my one non NXT pick here. I believe. Of course, I can't pick against them. I gotta pick the Viking Raiders.
So here's another moment where I think Chris is going to agree with me 100%, especially after NXT this week. It is criminal that the New Day have these titles over the Revival when Undisputed Era and Revival just put on a clinic of how to do tag team wrestling with very different tag teams. So I have issue with that. Now, that being said, that wouldn't have affected my pick at all, but if the Revival was in it. But I do believe that as that Undisputed Era is going to be the tag team to win the day, because like we said, that whole tally thing, I think it's more important, and you could do a hard reset and do a lot of things different if NXT just wins the night. You effectively push NXT as a brand pretty hard so that they can try to, win their ratings war or whatever. And then equally, you can kind of create this storyline on the other two brands where we just got dominated by NXT. Things need to change around both brands and like start doing some cohesive stories that make sense. Drop the dreck. So I'm going to go with Undisputed Era, but I would like to note again that it's ridiculous that the Revival is not in this match, especially after the match that they had on NXT against Undisputed Era.
How is the Revival not in this match? How is the Revival not inserted into this match as the fourth team just because they deserve it? That it blows my mind that WWE hasn't respected the Revival as one of the best tag teams, probably right behind Undisputed Era to Nick's point, in the last 2 years. I mean, these guys are ahead and above everyone else in the division of storytelling, ring technicians, putting on a show to have the false 3 counts. I mean, everything they do in a match is entertaining, and it blows my mind that they're not in this match. And I don't even want to pick this match because they're not in it, but I have to because I have to get it right so I can beat Jimmy. So to talk through this very quickly, again, I go back to every match is going to mean something for the tally. There is a team in this match that has yet to lose a tag team match. They only lost a turmoil match at Crown Jewel. So we're going to go with Chuckles' brethren, and we're going to go with the Viking Raiders because it makes sense for them to win this and Raw to win another one over SmackDown and over NXT.
Join the raid. Okay, so to our two big Survivor Series matches, we'll go the women's match first. Triple threat elimination match. We got Team Raw consisting of Charlotte Flair, Natalya, Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Sarah Logan versus Team SmackDown, Sasha Banks, Carmella, Dana Brooke, Lacey Evans, and Nikki Cross versus Team NXT, Rhea Ripley versus who knows who she's going to bring right now, I believe, as from what I've read. So, Steve.
The NXT women's team, hands down.
Nick.
I'm a little worried about this match. There seems like there's just a ton going on here, and when you have 3 different teams and you got to have like 11 eliminations, it can get tricky. But I'm going to go with my logic from the match I used way back on the WarGames card. I'm going to go with Toni Storm's team, assuming she's on this team.
Toni Storm is pretty, and that is the deciding factor. That's the one you're talking about?
I love my blondes, Jimmy. If Alexa Bliss was in this match, it might all change, but I got to go with my number 2 blonde, which is Toni Storm.
Oh, my God. Curse of the Tiro.
I like her hair. I am also going with Team NXT on this one. Jimmy.
Again, my greater storyline, not only besides the fact that we've discussed the women in NXT are like way better anyway. Now I'm got to give credit to the Raw team, looks pretty good. The SmackDown team looks awful, but definitely the NXT women.
So we had Rhea Ripley pin Charlotte Flair this week, And I think that's important because I don't see Charlotte losing twice in a week. It just doesn't make sense to put Charlotte down twice in 1 week. She's just too strong. She's too big of a character. I think it was important that Rhea Ripley got that pin and they got one over on them last night. But I think this is going to be another Raw win. And it's very important to think about who's going to be left in this match at the end. And I think you're going to have at least Charlotte Flair standing tall for the Raw team. So if you're keeping track, SmackDown has yet to win one of these matches. So Raw and Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, I have a feeling that the SmackDown team on this one will probably just like get in the ring and just walk away because that's what they should do. Okay, for the last match, we have our men's Survivor Series match. We got Team Raw, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, and Ricochet. Team SmackDown, Roman Reigns, Mustafa Ali, Braun Strowman. I'll say it for Chris. Ben the Knee, King Corbin, and Shorty G versus Team NXT. And you can feel it out who you think is going to be on that team, because right now it's still TBA. But I mean, we've seen Keith Lee, we've seen Riddle in there. Who knows? So over to Steven.
Shit, I don't know. I think from a story standpoint for the night, it makes sense for Raw to win it. But I'm very interested to see who comes together for the NXT team. And I kind of want the NXT team to win it and have them standing tall at the end of the night. So I'm going NXT.
Nick?
This will be my last pick. Then I got to go let the dogs out. But thanks for having me on. I enjoy listening to you guys every week. Keep up the good work. I'm going to go with Team Raw just because I don't know who's on Team NXT. And with so many other guys being in matches, I don't really know who they're going to field, maybe outside of like a Velveteen Dream and whatnot. And when I was FaceTiming Lily and Izzy the other day, Lily told me her favorite wrestler was Ricochet. So that's good enough for me.
It's good to hear that. It's good to hear that Nick's plane landed safely. Man, I don't see SmackDown winning this match to give them a win. I don't. So then I'm down to Raw and NXT. And Raw's team is a damn good team. I mean, you can't say that there might be one or two others, but you can't say that there's not a better fivesome that you could put together on any of the shows over those five. Now NXT. I mean, everybody listening, if you've been watching, you probably have an idea of who might be on the team. I am going to pretty much continue with my NXT night, and no matter who they have, I'm going to pick NXT over the other two because NXT is WWE #1 show. Over to Jimmy.
I agree. #1 show. My only issue, the thing I hate about this match, and so I know I'm picking this wrong, like really wrong. It's because I'm pretty sure that Raw's gonna win, because Braun Strowman's on the Raw team, right?
No, sir.
Oh no,
he's on SmackDown.
Oh, he's okay. Well, so he's on SmackDown. Okay, well, Braun Strowman is on a team, and that is an issue. That is an issue. That being said, with my TBD pick was Kevin Owens, and that Kevin Owens was going to basically switch brands on Saturday. And so I think it's going to be a Kevin Owens, led team. Even if it's not, whatever it is, I'm going to pick NXT because I still think that that's best for story overall in the company to push NXT as a product again and to use the fact that NXT ran the table to have both brands, as a storyline, rethink the way that they are running their show.
So I have one request to WWE. Please do not have Triple H on the NXT team. Don't do it. There's plenty of other guys that I would love to see on that.
I've been reading that Triple H does not want to do that. He thinks it takes away from the NXT show itself and the competitors. He does not want to lead that.
And that is the right decision. Do not be on that team.
What about Shawn Michaels?
Do not be on that team.
I agreed.
It needs to be NXT guys. They have done so much for NXT over the last few weeks. You cannot argue with me any other brand out there right now that is better than NXT. So make sure it's NXT guys. That being said, SmackDown is going to implode on itself. You have too much controversy on that team, too much bend the knee Baron Corbin with Roman Reigns going up head to head there on that team. There's gonna be some conflict on that team. Raw is tough to not pick. I mean, that team is strong all the way around, but we have enough dissension with what's going on with KO. Nobody came out to defend him right away. You never know what McIntyre wants to do. Rollins is on edge right now. I think that team could also possibly fall short, and I'm going to go with NXT winning the night and SmackDown going over for the night, which I think is important because SmackDown has gone over in the last few weeks and putting a good show on, except for last night because everybody was on the show, so you really couldn't even call it a true SmackDown. So I think NXT wins this match and wins the night.
Yeah. I think I think it's all good, and I agree with you to a certain extent. I think that, the interesting dynamic of Raw is like, if, let's just say my TBD is correct, and then Kevin Owens does switch brands and then he's on there, then that, again, like I was talking before, it opens up the opportunity for Andrade to be on that Raw team. So I'm interested, if Andrade was on that Raw team, would it change your mind? Or would it still be too much dissension?
No, I'd still pick NXT no matter what. But you bring up a good point. They kind of left the door open for Andrade to fill in this weekend.
Yeah. With
his match against Seth Rollins. They almost built a little camaraderie there, right? In that match. So it's interesting. It'd be a great swerve for KO to do something like that. It just I don't think that's the direction they're going right now. I think it's too good for them to write that.
I know we've come up with a lot of really, really good storylines tonight, and again, I picked storylines. I think if I had one pick that I maybe should amend, it's that you could have Shayna Baszler win and still have a similar thing kind of go down. Maybe I should. I don't know. Maybe I should rethink that one.
Oh, he's switching his pick. What's he doing?
Well, because I'm thinking of like the greater storyline that I'm pushing, that NXT storyline. So why would I have Baszler lose? It doesn't make sense in that greater storyline. It makes more sense for everybody but NXT to go over. So,
hey man, it works perfectly because really you got two choices. You change your pick and you're wrong, or you keep your pick and you're wrong. So either way, you're going to be wrong at this point.
Okay, well, I'm gonna change that pick. Let's change that pick, Chuck. I'm gonna go with Shayna Baszler to win that match.
Great. Now you just jinxed Hero and I.
So that we go, again, I'm picking big time stories, so we should be going over. So, oh man,
if W and Barry's NXT in the Survivor Series, it could possibly be the worst thing that they could do, in my opinion.
I don't think they can possibly do that. They would be so stupid.
They won't. Not in the middle of these quote unquote not really happening Wednesday night wars. They can't. Yeah. They won't and they can't.
Yeah.
Whew, that was a lot there.
That's a lot of picks. Always, especially on one of these main pay-per-views when you have a takeover. It's always a lot of picks. But hey, priests work on Sundays, but we work on Saturday mornings when we have to make all these picks. Love that line. Good stuff.
That was good stuff for Nickamura.
Yeah, Nickamura had a couple good zingers there. Well, thank you everybody for listening to us. That's been our time this week. We hope everybody enjoys the WWE pay-per-view weekend. I'm sure, I don't even remember the last time I saw a bad takeover, so I'm sure tonight's going to rock. So I hope everybody enjoys watching that. And wherever, however, whenever you listen to this podcast, we appreciate it. We would hope that you would like, subscribe, share with your friends, the usual stuff. And we would really appreciate that. And we will see you next week. Have a good one, everybody.